Walk-ons are a huge staple when it comes to college football, and getting rid of them would be a huge detriment to the entire sport and program.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Clemson podcast. My name is John Bivens. I'm your host. You can find me over on Twitter at I am John Bivens, over on X. Love to hit you up. Love to communicate with you over on there. Hey, thanks so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and over on YouTube. And we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Here on Locked On Clemson, you're getting three things. You're getting all sports, all passion, all of the time. We are bringing you everything you need to know regarding Clemson sports. Today is Tuesday, May 21st. Today's episode, we're going to walk through the recent news about walk-ons and the potential of the future of it in college football. Also, Paul Finebaum, he's known to not like Clemson, and we're going to talk about his recent comments, talking about Dabo, and of course, our weekly segment of Tracking Tuesday. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. LinkedIn, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Johns helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. So, NCAA, the whole program of NCAA is known to change things up. You got the power conferences going on. You got the transfers recently going on. NIL is recently changed, right? They're a program that recently changes things. They like to switch things up. Well, they are potentially implementing a new rule, which would be a huge, huge change in college football specifically. And honestly, it'd be detrimental. It wouldn't be a good change. Some changes we're all for, some changes we support, not this one. So what they're thinking is they're looking at changing the total roster amount that a team can have, the max amount of roster spots, from 115 players to 85 players. The some of you are like, oh, what's that big deal? You still have 85 players and only 20 or 11 people are on a field at once. The big deal is this. 85 is the max amount of scholarships that a college can offer. You cannot have more than 85 players on your team with a scholarship. So what that means is they're cutting the 30 other people on the team that aren't on scholarships, also known as walk-ons, where they walk on, try out, and they play for the team not under a scholarship. Some of you are like, big deal. That doesn't seem like big. But when you really look at this, that would be a huge, huge detriment when it comes to college football as a whole. There's been so many really good walk-ons for football programs that have turned out to be leading their program, have turned out and earned a scholarship, that have been in the NFL, that are starting quarterbacks in the NFL. There's been so many people, so many college players that started as a walk-on that ended up being a huge, huge impact to this team. Some of you are like, well, how does that even work? Are scouting not working? You got to think. College football starts when you're 18 years old. There's a lot of players out there that aren't physically developed until they're older than that. So it prevents those people that are a little bit late bloomers, or the people that didn't go to a prime high school or anything like that. It prevents them from having another chance in college to earn their spot. Huge, huge, huge problem. No one should be supporting this. If you're supporting this, I want to know why, because I don't see a benefit. And if some of you are thinking, oh, walk-ons, they didn't get a scholarship, they can't be that good of players, let me correct you. Here's some of the best walk-on players to ever play, right? So some of the best walk-ons in history to ever play. Number one, a guy by the name of Baker Mayfield. Anyone ever heard of him? Yeah, he's the starting cornerback in NFL right now. He's a great player. As a true freshman at Texas Tech, he was a walk-on. He transferred later on to Oklahoma, got a scholarship, won the Heisman, was first-round draft pick. Like, he developed into it for sure, but he started off as a walk-on. You get rid of walk-ons, Baker Mayfield doesn't play. Another one, Clay Matthews, right? Clay Matthews was a huge, huge addition in the NFL, especially. He's known for his Packer days, but he was a walk-on at USC. Brandon Burlsworth, he was a walk-on at Arkansas, a huge player, right? Then you got Santana Moss, played for Miami, ACC school, also played for Washington Redskins a lot in the NFL, was a walk-on. There's more. Recent history, Stetson Bennett, walk-on at Georgia. So many more. Justin Hardy at East Carolina, wide receiver. You got J.J. Watt, Hall of Fame NFL player, was a walk-on at Wisconsin for a little bit. Jim Leonard, a safety at Wisconsin. And then you got kickers as well. Rodrigo Blankenship, walk-on at Georgia. Steven Gostkowski, walk-on at Memphis. You got so many talented, really put together walk-ons that never would be who they are if we got rid of walk-ons. But so this is a Clemson podcast. We can't talk about anything without kicking about the Clemson. So how does this impact Clemson? Well, Clemson's has a huge history of walk-ons and the impact that walk-ons can make at the university. Don't believe me? All right, let's mention one of the best walk-on players in all of college football. If you look up the best walk-ons in college football history, a Clemson player is going to be on that list, and none other than the name of Hunter Renfrow. Some of y'all might not remember, but there was a time when we were playing in the national championship game. We were down to a last-second drive. We could kick a field goal or we could go for a touchdown to win. What do? We run a little QB bootleg to the right. Deshaun Watson passes it to a wide-open Hunter Renfrow in the end zone who catches it, falls down with just a couple seconds left on the clock to win Clemson's first national championship game in almost 40 years. That wide receiver was Hunter Renfrow, a player who started as a walk-on at Clemson. You get rid of the walk-ons, Hunter Renfrow never has a chance to earn that spot, never has a chance to catch that championship football, never has a chance to impact Clemson in the way that he did, and Clemson might not have national championships right now if Hunter Renfrow wasn't on those teams. He wasn't one that carried him, but he was a huge player, and he's known as one of the top 5 walk-ons in all of college football history. Okay, what else? You're like, all right, that's one player. Who else? Well, our head coach probably wouldn't be our head coach if it wasn't for walk-on. Dabo Swinney was a walk-on wide receiver at Alabama when he played. If he didn't get that playing time at Alabama, probably wouldn't go on to be a wide receiver coach at Alabama, which probably wouldn't help further his career, would be the head coach where he is right now. Tony Elliott, who's the head coach over at Virginia, the head football coach there, isn't playing too hot, but he's going to get this team back in it. I firmly believe that. If it wasn't for walk-ons, Tony Bennett was a walk-on. He wouldn't be the offensive coordinator at Clemson for so many years and led us to so many wins and ACC championships and playoff appearances. That never would have happened if walk-ons weren't available. I could go on this list forever. I could go down and I could keep breaking it down. Walk-ons are so crucial for college football because, one, there's a fun aspect of it. There's something exciting when you have a player on your team who's a walk-on, who's overlooked that underdog story and is being a hero for a top program. There's exciting to that. It builds excitement, but it's also you're taking away the chance to impact 30 students for every single college in Division I football. You're taking the opportunity from them to play sports at a higher level. What about the player that we're going to miss? You're going to miss some of the best players at all time. Preventing this from happening is mandatory. We can't let this happen. If NCAA passes this rule, college football is going to be hurting. It's going to impact it negatively. No one should be wanting this bill to pass. So that's the new rule, possibly on walk-ons. We disagree. Let us know your thoughts. If you disagree, let's speak up about this. Let's make sure NCAA knows the best situation, the best solution is not to get rid of walk-ons in college football. We're going to keep talking about football and Clemson specifically in just a moment. We'll be right back in just a second. We got to say thanks so much to one of our sponsors over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small businesses, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find right professionals for your team faster and free. I've been on both sides of LinkedIn as employer and employee, and it is so simple and easy to use. LinkedIn isn't just a job board, but it helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong spot. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast. Look, recently, Dabo Swinney has been in the news. Dabo Swinney has been out there. He's been saying some comments. We've talked about it. If you haven't listened to those episodes, go back. We talked some yesterday, talked a couple last week. Listen to what's going on, because Dabo's been in the news. He's had some comments. It's like, what are you even talking about, right? But he's also had some comments that really, when you boil down, it makes sense. It works. Over history, Dabo has not been one of the most popular coaches in the sport, especially coming from media personnel, from high-profile media personnel and personalities on TV that talk about college football. Dabo isn't one of the favorites. You've got some that like him. Kirk Herbstreit always respects Dabo. You've got other people. Reese Davis respects Dabo. But there's also some that do not. Lee Corso doesn't seem to be a big Dabo fan. I know recently he's been not as prolific as he has been, but not a big fan. There's one media personnel who seems like they have always had it out for Clemson and Dabo Swinney. There's one person on there that just seems like no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, it seems like they're just all against Dabo Swinney. They're completely against him. They're completely against Clemson program. Anytime he's making picks, he chooses against Clemson. He chooses other teams. He argues when Clemson gets in the playoffs when they shouldn't. He argues when they're ranked high because he says they should be ranked lower. Over and over and over again, this guy always talks negatively about Clemson, and that guy is Paul Finebaum, however you want to say his name. He talks about all the time. He's oftentimes quoted by being against Clemson, by being against Dabo Swinney. Well, yesterday on Monday, May 20th, he put out a comment talking about Dabo, and he's quoting Clemson fans and alumni as saying Dabo's not going to be there. Let's hear what he says. This is brought to you by TigerNet.com. They put this quote out there, but he said it on McElroy and Kublik in the morning. But he's talking about Dabo and the transfer, and he says this: "It's catching up to him as we speak," him being Dabo. "And forget the pundits. I know Clemson fans like to aim their arrows, all of us who pontificate about Dabo. But I'm talking about people who have graduated from Clemson, people who are Clemson fans, and I run into a lot of them based on where I live, and they don't think Dabo Swinney is going to be there a long time. And when I mean a long time, I mean 3 to 5 years. I think his time is nearly up." We alliterated a few years ago that Dabo's dynasty was gone, and people said, how can you say that? Well, a couple 4-year lost seasons will make you believe that. But to me, he is falling so far behind, and that doesn't mean they can't have a good program. That's if you call 9-3, 8-4, or occasional 10-2 a good program. But that's not the same school that we went to 6 consecutive college football playoffs a couple years ago that played for 4 national championships. I think that part is over. That Paul Finebaum is talking and is bringing down Dabo Swinney. He doesn't think Dabo Swinney is going to be there long. And he starts quoting Clemson fans and Clemson alumni and high-up people in Clemson saying that they know Dabo's not going to be there 3 to 5 years. I want to know who's saying that. I want to know who his sources are. I want to know who's giving them the information he's talking about. Because if you talk to Clemson fans, if you talk to true Clemson alum, people who follow the program, nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that Dabo's on his way out. Some people are like, oh, get with it. The people that are like hot takes, like, oh, yeah, get rid of him. He doesn't know how to transfer. Look at the class he's bringing in. Look at the success he's had. He's had 1 off year, and we're calling for him to get quit. Where's the loyalty? Dabo is known to be loyal to Clemson. He's known to be loyal to his players, but yet fans can't respect that loyalty. Guys, I want to bring up a fact, and this is to Paul Finebaum. This is all the Clemson fans that say we should get rid of Dabo. Dabo Swinney graduated from or played at Alabama, coached at Alabama, has always been known as Alabama being his home school, his school he wanted to go back to. This offseason, he had a prime opportunity to do that. Nick Saban retired. Alabama called Dabo and said, hey, we would like you to interview for this job. And what did Dabo do? He didn't even interview. He declined to interview because he chose to stay loyal to Clemson. Dabo is a loyal guy, and he has done so much for this program. He's brought us wins. He's brought us championships. He's brought us playoff. He's put us national record. He's put us as a top 5 program in the past 20 years. Dabo Swinney helped do that at Clemson University through his recruiting and through his coaching. And now, because he is a little bit different style than the modern day fad of transfers, and I agree he should get some more transfers. I'm not saying he's perfect, but because he disagrees with the modern, the popular approach right now, all of a sudden after one bad year, we're calling for his head. We're calling for him to be fired. We're calling for him to be retired. Where's the loyalty? Where's that loyalty at? Where's the loyalty that Dabo Swinney deserves? Look, I agree. I think he should bring in transfers. I think he should shift a little bit. Do I think we should be Colorado level transfers? Absolutely not. But yeah, bring in 1 or 2. Bring in a couple that could come help the team. But also, I love the fact that he's not bringing in transfers to take away from the scholarships and the spots that the people that already love Clemson are already there. If someone loved Clemson enough to go from the beginning, that's the people you want to develop. That's the player you want to help grow and to be the one that you reward with a scholarship. Not the guy that chose somewhere else first and now wants to come because they want more out of what they can get. Right? Dabo Swinney is loyal, but for some reason, Paul Finebaum mentions it. Clemson fans and certain Clemson alumni, because of one off year, which we still won a bowl game, went 9-4. Because of one off year, it's like, forget about him. We're done. Throw him to the curb. It's tired of him. Dabo Swinney's era is over. It's rough. It's infuriating because it feels like there's no happy. You expect perfect all the time. You expect it 100% of the time. And look, I'm not saying you can't expect greatness, right? I think sometimes Clemson fans from other Clemson fans feel guilted for having high expectations. Clemson basketball is a prime example of that. If you expect Clemson basketball to be consecutively in the tournament, you have some fans being like, oh, no, be happy with one every 3 years. It's better than some schools. No. We're a great school. We have high resources. We have the ability to make the tournament every single year. That's our expectations, and we're okay to have that expectation. I'm not saying don't expect greatness. I'm not saying be happy with what we did last year and be content with that. What I'm saying is you cannot let one off year get rid of the amount of success and program and recognition that Dabo has brought to this university. You're jumping off the ship way too early. You're jumping in the edge way too early. And now you're agreeing with a guy who has hated Clemson when Clemson was the national champion. You're agreeing with a guy in Paul who said that Clemson shouldn't be in the playoffs when we won it and we went undefeated. Like, you're talking about a guy who's never had faith in Clemson or Dabo Swinney, and now he's being like, oh, yeah, he was great for 6 years, and they made the college football 6 years in a row. When that happened, he was talking trash about him. Don't side with him now when he wasn't with us at our top, right? There's the old phrase, if they're not with you at the top, they're definitely not with you at the bottom, right? Common sense, don't believe the guy that's never been with us, but now you're siding with him. It just infuriates me how much unloyal people are there, how there's not a loyalty and a sensitivity when it comes to Dabo. Am I saying he shouldn't change? Not at all. If he has a couple more seasons in a row like this past season, then those conversations can start. But one bad year and you're already jumping ship like this, man, it's infuriating. It's like, have some respect for what he's done. Have some respect for the caliber of coach that he is. If you're like, oh, fire him, go get someone. Who are you going to get? The only other 2 national championship coaches in coaching right now is Mack Brown, who's not leaving Carolina, and I don't want Mack Brown, and then Kirby Smart, who isn't leaving Georgia, and I probably don't want Kirby Smart. I just don't understand. It's infuriating, but that's our take. That's our thoughts on that. That's our thoughts on Paul Finebaum's take on Dabo about how he's on his way out and won't be there for another 3 years. If he's not there for another 3 years, Clemson has a huge problem. But that's our take on all of that. We're going to wrap this episode up after the break as we talk about some prospects and our tracking Tuesday across all sports. So we will see you in just a minute. We also got to say thank you to one other sponsor today, Yahoo Finance. Wouldn't it be great if you could see all your investments and retirement accounts in one place? With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis you need to attend to your entire portfolio with confidence. My wife and I are expecting a baby, and we're trying to get more serious with our finances, with retirement and investing, and Yahoo Finance has been the place for us. Let's get straight to the point. You want to grow your portfolio to deal with the rising cost of inflation, to pay off your debt or your mortgage, pretty much anything standing in the way of you and financial freedom. With Yahoo Finance, you can get access to the news, data, and tools that you need in order to help reach that financial freedom. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all, you've saved, you've researched, you've invested all you can. Now you need to take from those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The number one financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. And here we are on the Locked On Clemson podcast. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Sorry for that last segment. If some of y'all are like, he got a little emotional. Yeah, I did. A little sensitive there. I think I don't know. I guess I get frustrated when we don't respect the great coaches in this program and we drive them out. All it's going to create is more room for the coaches that hurt the program. We'll talk about that later on. But we're going to end this episode with how we do every single Tuesday with our Tracking Tuesday. What it is every Tuesday we go through and we give you updates regarding top prospects across all Clemson sports, whether it's people deciding to go to Clemson, some deciding not to, recent prospects we've been tracking, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about two this week. Number one is from football. It is not the best news. It is 5-star Josh Petty has declined to take his official visit to Clemson. He officially has declined that visit. He is this one hurts. This is one, he's an offensive lineman. Josh Petty, he's out of Georgia. He is the 29th overall, according to 24/7 Sports Composite. Number 5 at the offensive tackle position. He's a huge guy. He's 6'5", 267. He was a great aspect. He was a 5-star. We were really excited to have him come in. We were hoping to get him. He's got a long list of different programs. He's got a long list of different schools that's interesting too. But he has removed Clemson from the list of schools. His father told TCI that he loves Dabo, he loves Coach Luke, but he is removing Clemson from his visits, which almost guarantees he's not going to be attending Clemson. That one hurts. That would have been a huge addition there. We do have some big names still on hand for our official visit. We have a 5-star David Sanders, 4-star Mario Nash Jr., 3-star Mal Woodrup, and Matt Buchanan, which are excited. Those are offensive tackles that stood till come, but Josh Petty would have been an amazing grab. We do have 2 4-stars already signed and committed to 2025, Braden Jacobs, Eden Ware, but not getting Josh Petty, it hurts. Not getting Josh Petty, that one's rough. That one's a hard upset that we're not getting him. But that is, we're just letting you know. That's our Tracking Tuesday for football. Is we are not getting one of the best offensive tackles in the nation next year, which hurts. But that's what it is. Our second Tracking Tuesday came yesterday morning. We got some great news over on the basketball side. Over on the hardwood, we got Miles Foster, who we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, the transfer that took a visit to Clemson from Illinois State. He has committed and signed. He is coming to Clemson. Let's go. We're so excited. We are pumped about this situation. Guys, he's a huge player. He averages almost 13 points, 9 boards last year at a smaller school. Him coming in next year, he's going to help fill. I think a lot of people are saying that he's going to fill the P.J. Hall role. I don't think so. I think he's going to be more of a balance between R.J. Godfrey and P.J. Hall, filling that role with both of them. But either way, this is a huge prospect. This is someone that comes in and is really going to help us, really going to help promote the program, grow the program, continue to allowing Clemson basketball to be one of the best programs in the nation. So we're going to see that grow, see Clemson basketball continue to rise. Brad Brownell's showing out. This offseason, Brad Brownell saying, look, this wasn't just 1 year. I'm here to get recruits. I'm here to get prospects. I'm here to get transfers. I'm here to win. So Brad Brownell, he's putting some respect on his name. Some people were calling for him to get fired last year. A lot of people were, but he's kind of like, not my time. I'm going to show you. We're going to be great. So he's had a great offseason so far, pulling 4 big transfers with Cincinnati big men, shooting guard from Boston College, another big man from Duke, and now a big man from Illinois State. So we've got a great transfer class, great freshman class coming in. Next year, Clemson basketball has a very, very, very good chance to make another deep March Madness run, and Brad's doing everything he can to fill that PJ Hall role. We're still going to be watching with Chase Hunter. Chase is entered in the draft, but he could still return. We're still monitoring that to see if he decides to come back or not. We'd imagine he would. But yeah, that is our tracking Tuesday for today, letting you know about those two big prospects / transfers in the program. And with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Locked On Clemson podcast. This coming week, make sure you join us still. We're going to dive more into football, but we're also going to we're going to talk about college baseball. ACC tournament starts today. We're excited about that, but Clemson plays Thursday, so we're going to keep monitoring that and keeping you up to date on all things ACC baseball tournament as well. Let me know your thoughts on today, though. Walk us through. What do you think about walk-ons? Do you think they should be there? Do you agree with the rule change? Do you disagree? What about Paul's take on Dabo? You think he's there 3 years? Do we think Dabo's there another 3 years or not? And then also, you could let us know if you're a prospect. You excited about this? Josh Petty going to hurt us? Anyway, let us know any of your thoughts on this episode, on anything Clemson sports. You can hit us up over on Twitter. You can email us, tigerwire@gmail.com. You can drop a comment on YouTube. We'd love to have a conversation with you about what we talked about. If you haven't, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts at, and over on YouTube as well. Hit that subscribe button. That way every day you can have your first listen here on Locked On Clemson podcast. We can't wait to see you on the next episode. Until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring, and as always, go Tigers.